Good morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Neeraj Shah, and it's a truncated week, but a week full of cues, if not actual action. And maybe we'll have a bit of action because remember, while the US markets may have done what they would have done yesterday, the fact that on Friday US markets were active, some of the other markets did gain a little bit yesterday, maybe just give us a bit of a positivity, if you will. So the Dow. And let's pull up the 3-day performance of the Dow if we can, or yesterday's performance, whichever chart. But look at this, and this is of course of 29th March, and it shows you the volatility that we had in the Dow in trade yesterday. But over a 3-day period, because Friday Dow was up and about, and in yesterday's session too, it went up a little bit. There is some bit of positivity, even though the US Qs are a bit flat in the current session, mind you. By some measure, you would probably look at various factors for the US markets, including the fact that the valuations seem to be higher than even the dot-com era in 2020. And that should tell you a story of two about what the room for error is for for the US markets. So therefore, keep in mind that those remain firmly in focus. S&P 500, the valuations, the P ratio, the market cap to GDP, all of those factors remind us of maybe 2000, so to say, and therefore the room of error is that much lower. However, having said that, one's got to keep in mind that the world markets for today seem to be pointing towards some bit of a flattish move. If you look at the Asian screen, mixed bag, some indices in the green, some indices in the red, and therefore you have that bit of a flattish move for the Asian screen. But for the SGX Nifty, in the session today, and keep in mind the levels would matter, not the direction per se. So if you just look at the levels of the SGX Nifty at 14,792, it indicates a green on the it indicates green on the screen for our markets, because we'll start off that much higher. Our markets, because they remained shut yesterday, will have to account for the 2-day move on the Nifty. So you have to keep that in mind. Some news flows, and I think two very important things. One, and we put it out on various tweets on the BloombergQuint timeline yesterday, that the big supply chain disruptor, which is Ever Given, has moved, and ships have now started to move in the canal after Ever Given was freed. So that's the big talking point from a global supply chain perspective. And as much as we would like to shrug this off, it had its repercussions and probably will have its repercussions. But the fact that it was resolved in 7 days, as opposed to fears that it will get resolved in a month and a half, is only positive. The other big thing is Archegos, right? And I think for the near term, that dominated trade, and not just conversation, that dominated trade as well, because you had multiple banks. Nomura in today's session in Asia is down. Credit Suisse yesterday in the European session was down, and multiple other banks, etc., were all trading lower. This is Nomura's chart, and it shows you the sharp slam dunk that Nomura had on 29th March. And by the way, in today's session, as I said, if you can look at the chart, it's actually started off lower and it's trading lower as well. So we have to keep that in mind, that there is a bit of an issue that what Archegos brings to the table. Is it isolated? Will it be contained only to the players within that ecosystem, or could there be a contagion? Frankly, not too many people know. For now, we are only seeing it isolated. It's not the biggest drawdown that we've seen on a hedge fund, and therefore may not really spark a contagion, but it's large enough to cause a wrinkle or two, and therefore we have to be mindful of that. What should we watch out for this week as well? I think a bunch of things. The US jobs report will headline the quiet Easter week, and any collateral damage from the Archegos trades is something that all of us need to watch out for. So the trade setup is, I think it's a good day to set off long positions in the Indian markets, considering that we will start off gap up, but the cues are still positive. Some of the quant indicators indicate a good time to trade longs today with this gap up too. I think commodity stocks seem best placed for long trades. Without a shadow of doubt, steel will be in focus, but some of the others also don't look bad. And local dealers say that there were fresh inflows into tech stocks the whole of last week, particularly Thursday and Friday. And therefore, we have to be mindful of those particular stocks. Watch out for Wipros, the HCL Techs of the world. They could be interesting ones to monitor. And of course, there's a big listing today, not in terms of size, but in terms of subscription. Nazara was the second most subscribed IPO of 2021. And therefore, how this list could be important, because the whole of last week we've had mixed outcomes on listings, right? Lakshmi Organic did very well. Anupam did not. The Kalyan Jewelers did not. And therefore, from an IPO sentiment perspective, it's imperative that Nazara lists well. No reason why it shouldn't. Let's wait and watch how it does. Okay, now the stocks to watch today at 9:15. Nazara will be at 10, and it'll be a big one, by the way. But at 9:15, what are the things that one should watch out for? I think people will watch out for Tata Consumer, even though the flows are anticipated only in the last 30 minutes of trade. But because Tata Consumer becomes a part of the Nifty, most brokerage notes said that the stock will see inflows on this Nifty inclusion or the rebalancing today. So therefore, I think we missed a word or two, but essentially it's on Nifty inclusion and the rebalancing, both will happen. So there are 3 or 4 stocks which get impacted, by the way. Tata Consumer is the principal one. There could be some marginal inflows into HDFC Life. So watch out for that. There could be, of course, outflows from GAIL because it gets out of the Nifty, but Tata Consumer, clearly the big one in the session today. So do watch out for that one. I watch out for Adani Transmission. They are going to acquire an asset, a transmission asset from SL Projects for 3,370 crores. Viewers, as much as we would like to think that these are small acquisitions that they're doing, but 3,300 crores is not small. But they stakes Adani Transmission to a target which is near about 20,000. Yeah, 20. I think the capacity is 20,000 kilowatts, and that is huge from any company's perspective, and it makes Adani Transmission a large behemoth in this space. So therefore, this could be interesting today. While the JSW Steel and the PSU Banks news had come in the dying hours of trade, this implementation of the resolution plan for Bhushan Power and Steel, but I think a lot of people are waking up to the point of how important it could be for some of the banks involved, and therefore do watch out for JSW Steel individually for other reasons as well as some of the PSU banks like Canara Bank. So I'll watch out for that. JSW Steel has to be watched out for more reasons than one, not just this. I think multiple brokerages today have given some upgrades on the steel companies. So I'm using the CLSA note. There is a Nomura note as well. There is some other note as well. But CLSA's note is interesting, and I'm bringing it out. They are saying that they see further upside in the steel stock as the risk reward remains favorable. They raised the estimates for Indian steel companies mainly on better realizations. They believe that the street is underpricing the better realizations, and they believe that the realizations will actually move up, which is beneficial for them. They've raised the Tata Steel target price to 950 from 860. So that's a big change. And they have upgraded JSW Steel to an outperform rating from a sell rating, and the target price is now 490 rupees per share. I think Nomura's target price is maybe 510 or 530 or thereabouts. So do watch out for the steel stocks. They could be very, very interesting in the session today as well. Remember, Tata Steel, after hitting a low of around 705, is now trading at 765 in 2 days. So there's been a bit of a move already, but do watch out for them in the session today. I will watch out for stocks like Delta Corp, Aegis Logistics, and BPCL. Now, just bear with me for a moment, viewers. Delta Corp, simply because of the Nazara listing, and if Nazara lists at a premium and continues to trade at a premium, it might augur well for Delta Corp. Even though part of the trade has already been played out, you have to keep this in mind. I'll watch out for Aegis Logistics because HPCL has entered into an agreement to acquire an asset which would have an LNG terminal ready. Now, remember, BPCL was going to move out some capacities from Aegis Logistics because they are going to acquire an asset, and the belief was that HPCL will account for some of those free capacities. It may still do, but it'll be interesting to understand from the management of Aegis Logistics as to what happens if all of these OMCs are acquiring their own LNG capacities. So this stock remains in focus. It's a stock which has got a bit of an undercurrent on the positive side, by the way, so keep that in mind. And I will watch out for BPCL, of course. And by the way, viewers, I will watch out for 2 or 3 other stocks. I think Coal India, while I haven't given graphics for it, Coal India, the rakes capacity is actually moved up. And they are the quantum of transportation for the month of February is up by some 20. Well, the month of March is up by some 25%. So watch out for Coal India. Watch out for Minda. They've announced 2 expansion plans. And remember, this whole airbags mandatory rules that have come out benefit Minda. I think they have some 20-25% market share in that. So that could be interesting thing for Minda as well. And watch out for Hero MotoCorp, because Morgan Stanley's come out with a note wherein they are talking about the Ola Electric aggressive expansion and the impact that it could have on some of the incumbents. They have sharply downgraded the target price for Hero. So therefore, it's one more stock that all of us should be watching out for. Their target price is, I think, 2,400 or 2,500. So if Hero MotoCorp is weak today, you would know why it is. It's on account of a Morgan Stanley sharp downgrade. Therefore, these are the few names that all of us should be watching out for in the session. But I dare say commodities and technology seem the two pockets that all of us should be watching out for. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup today, viewers. Have a profitable day ahead. Most importantly, please stay safe and wear your masks.